Good morning. We gotta do the bed. We gotta make the bed, sir. Go ahead, make the bed. He's like, girl, if you don't walk me right now.
I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl in the world.
Alright, we are back from walking Bruno. We're gonna make some breakfast. I still have my Christmas tree up, you guys. Like, it's still Christmas over here. I still need to change it. We just have been very, I wouldn't say lazy to take it down, but I want to enjoy the very last bit of Christmas that we have left, which is non-existent because it's already January. What is it, January? Hey Google, what day is today?
Today is Tuesday, January 16th.
Yeah, so it's January 16th and we still haven't taken down the Christmas tree, and I think for sure next weekend we're taking it down. My birthday is January 28th. Your girl's gonna be 30 years old, you guys. That is beyond me, but we are turning 30. We are turning 30 and we're just gonna be flirty. 30 and flirty. I found this really good cake designer, I guess you call him. She makes cakes and she does a really good job. I love the way she makes the cakes, and she does desserts. So she has her own bakery here in our town, and it's cute. So I told her to make me one. It's kind of like, you know, those heart vintage cakes that are colorful, and I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it all over Pinterest and like Instagram, but it's a heart shaped, and it's gonna say like hello 30 or something like that, and it's really cute. I told her to make it blue, like teal blue, and using the blue colors because that's my favorite color. But I'm also gonna get her to do my wedding cake. As you guys know, we get married soon too. We get married in February, so I'm really excited, you guys. January, February are really important months this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, you guys, we just gotta work on a couple of things this year. We have some goals set for this year. Really have to work on our health because your girl's not trying to walk around with, you know, insulin and stuff. And you know that my mom's side did suffer from diabetes. My grandmother was somebody who had diabetes too, and she had to do the whole insulin medications, and her legs ended up getting gangrene, and she just got to a point where she really didn't want to take care of herself anymore, and she just wanted to die already. And it's really sad because the gangrene started eating up her legs, and they had to amputate it, and she didn't want to, so she'd rather, you know, just pass away basically. But she was very non-compliant with her medications, and she was just over it because she had done it for so many years, you know. And I'm pretty sure like once you get to an age where you're just over it. So my mom also has type 2 diabetes, and she has to do the whole insulin stuff, and I just don't want to get to that point, you know. I think I can avoid it with lifestyle changes and just exercising, and I've been to that point before where they told me I was pre-diabetic if I kept it up, like I was gonna be diabetic, if that makes sense. And I was able to just work out and eat better, and that went away. So I'm planning to do the same thing for this time. It was only like one number over to the high side, and it was like 1 or 2 numbers over the high side, and I just want to avoid that, you know. I don't want to get to that point either. Health is wealth this year, you guys, and we really have to take care of us the best way that we can, right? And yeah, you guys, we're gonna make some breakfast. I'm gonna make some eggs with bacon. Probably have some oatmeal. It's 1 p.m. already. I'm making some eggs. I've been sleeping in late lately, and I don't like it, but it's the whole schedule change with work too. I think that's affecting my body, because I'm forced to eat at night. Because I go in from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and once we're done with first rounds, which ends up being like 9 p.m., that's the time when we get to eat. Basically, that's our break. So we end up eating, and it's like my body, like I'm eating at night now, and my body's probably like not agreeing with it, but I can't do anything about that because that's just night shift, you know what I'm saying? And I really like night shift, you guys. It's a whole different vibe. Like, night shift is just, it's better, in my opinion. I mean, you get paid more, hold on. You get paid more. You kind of get to do everything at your own pace, a little slower paced. But am I gonna do it forever? I don't know. I low-key want to, but it's like, I know it's not healthy for you, you know? And it sucks, but I'm full-time, so I like night shift. It just sucks. It sucks for your body. It takes a toll on your body, and it takes a toll on your mind, because now, look at me, I'm waking up like at 1, 2 p.m. For my days off, because I was off the last 2-3 days, and I start tonight's gonna be my 1-1. I'm sorry, my 1-3, and I've been sluggish, and I don't know if it has to do with my whole health issue too, like, so I'm just taking it easy, you know? But definitely, I've been noticing a difference, and I don't really like it. So, I know people who've been doing this for 20 years, and they've been night shift all 20 years, and they're like, you know, it is what it is. And then you have some people who are like, no, they transition back to days, and I don't know. So we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna leave night shift, to be honest. I don't think I'm a night shift girl, but it does take a toll on your body. But yeah, you guys, hold on. I'm gonna sit down and talk to you guys about a little bit about codes and stuff. By the way, 5 minutes before me starting this video, I dropped the coffee all over the table, and I had to clean it up for like 30 minutes, so here we are. Anyways, I just wanted to do a little sit down video because I know I got a couple of questions last video on like DMs talking about if I could explain more of what a code blue was, or like what happens in emergency situations at the hospital and stuff like that. So I wanted to go more in depth, so to like make it a part 2, I guess. And kind of just go over like everything that like kind of affects your mental health in a way, because a lot of people don't talk about like the mental health aspect of working in healthcare, and I think that's very important to kind of go over, because a lot of people like glamorize being in healthcare just because you make good money. And although we are like, I don't want to say we make great money, but we do we are able to live kind of comfortably, not even, but like it's better than, I say, like 50% of jobs out there, and I'm just being honest. Although we, like, not all of us live like comfortably, I don't know how to word it, but like basically, like, yes, we do make good money, but it's like still in today's society, like we're still kind of like having to make ends meet, if that makes sense. Like I think in society now, like you have to have like multiple jobs to be able to be like comfortable, like not having to have a care in the world type of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And like healthcare in general is not like something that should be glamorized, because like people are dying every day. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a toll on your mental health at the end of the day, especially in ICU or like in ERs where you're constantly seeing people pass away every day. And it's not something that's glamour. Like it's not glamour. It's not lavish. It's not, it takes a toll on your mental health at the end of the day. So like I remember when I first started working as an RT, like I would go home and like I'd be so not sleep deprived. I didn't think I was sleep deprived, but apparently my me talking in my sleep said otherwise. But like it got to a point where like I'd go home and I'd go to sleep and I would start talking in my sleep. Like I would start making ventilator sounds. Like sounds crazy, but I would make ventilator sounds. I'll start having full-blown conversations during my sleep, and that's something that I've never like done in my life. Like I don't think I've ever remember like sleep talking and stuff like that. And like that just shows you like how stressed out you are from what you just saw. And like little things like that, and like my sleep schedule's all messed up. Like I don't think I have much of a social life anymore. Like it's hard to like hang out with friends because it's just like you're constantly working, and if you're not working, you're like trying to catch up on sleep and you're tired. So it's kind of like a balance that you have to find, and I'm trying, I think this new year, like getting adjusted to the new job, like I'm trying to find that balance to be able to do multiple things and not having to think about like, oh my god, I need to catch up on sleep because I work tomorrow, or etc. You know, like the last couple of days I had off, I had 3 days off. Today I go back to work and I go in at 7 p.m. and it's currently 1:50, and like I woke up, I made me some breakfast, and now I'm about to film. So like I kind of want to find a routine again where I'm not just thinking about like, oh my god, I have to work at night. Like I need to catch up on sleep, you know. And I'm just powered by energy drinks, honestly. In the middle of the night, I'm just drinking Zoas. And if you don't know what Zoa is, I actually have a poster of this man behind here. It's my fiance's, but we drink the Rocks energy drink, and it's like all natural, caffeine, all that stuff, and that really keeps me up at night, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, you guys, so going back to like emergency situations and code blues at the hospital, every hospital probably has their own protocol as to what they do during a code blue. In my case, at my hospital, so there's different floors, obviously, right? Like you have the first floor, there's no, oh, it started raining. The first floor, there's no rooms on the first floor, so it's just like cafeteria, lobby, etc. The department's there. Then you have the second floor, which is med surg. You have all the patients who just got out of surgery. Most of them are like heart surgeries, just general surgeries. So they're just recovering there. So basically there you're mostly doing like breathing treatments. You're doing ISs. They're basically just recovering the patient at that point. The third floor is oncology. Is it oncology? Yes, I believe so. The third floor is like oncology. Not every hospital is gonna have obviously their own setup, but the third floor is like oncology, cancer patients. You're basically just doing breathing treatments there. You are kind of 5 minutes before me starting this video, I dropped the coffee, helping the patient remain strong during those times. And it's crazy because I actually had my first experience on that floor when I first started with a cancer patient, and me and her were like talking for like an hour, and I kind of got in trouble, not in trouble, but like at that time, like I'm still precepting, I'm still during orientation, and my preceptor was like, you need to hurry up, like you can't stay in the patient's room talking to the patient. And like I get it, but sometimes that's all the patient needs, you know, for somebody to talk to them and kind of like give them motivation. So that patient like really, she told me, she's like, all I needed was for you to talk to me, and like I feel so at ease, and I'm just like more motivated to keep pushing through my story, like my journey. And she, you know, she had cancer, and she just got diagnosed with it not too long ago, and she was just like, you know, like it's been really hard to adjust to it and like finding the strength to keep going. And I'm like, you need to keep pushing. Like at the end of the day, like what really sets an illness is the way you act towards it, you know, your emotions and how you're overcoming it. Like if you're just sad and depressed and like, oh my god, like that's, your disease is gonna respond to that, and it's gonna kind of like be like, okay, there's, you know, that's at least how I think about diseases. And like it's not always like that, unfortunately. It's not always rainbows and butterflies, and I get that, but your attitude towards it can really like shift something, you know. And I was just talking to Sally for like an hour, and I lost track of time, and she was just like, you know, all I needed was for you to talk to me, and like this really helped me, thank you. Like she was just like, you know, my whole outlook is gonna change from now on. And I'm like good, I'm happy. Like that really made my day. Like it was just like, oh, like you can really make a difference just by talking to a patient, you know. Unfortunately, you do have other patients to attend to, so you can't really spend that one-on-one with each patient as you would want to, right? And I think that's something that I'm still learning throughout this whole thing, is kind of like not focusing so much. Like yes, every patient deserves their time, but you can't take too long with one patient versus another, if that makes sense. Like you kind of have to keep it pushing, and that's something that I'm still like kind of learning. And it's been kind of like a little, I wouldn't say issue, but it's just hard because like I want to talk to each patient if that makes sense. Like I just want to take my time with each patient, and it's not that they give you like they give you a certain time span to finish all treatments. Like you should be done with first rounds. If you start at 7, you should be done by 9 o'clock. And there's times where like I finish like at 10:30, 11 p.m. depending how busy it is, because it can get busy and they can't really do anything about that, you know. So that's the third floor. Then you go to the fourth floor. Fourth and fifth is like, fourth is more, I think, like just regular patients who are recovering. I'm not really on those floors that much, so I can't really, but the first floor is ICU, which is where I'm mostly at. ICU is just all types of patients that are critical. You know, most of them are like brain bleeds. You have surgeries who got complicated. You have most of the rapids end up on that floor. Code blues end up on that floor. So there, it's, most of the ventilators are there. Well, all of the ventilators are there actually. All the patients on ventilators are on that floor. You have the trachs on that floor. So there you deal with a lot of like critical patients, and there you're mostly doing ventilator checks every 2 hours. You're doing oral care, suctioning. You are just making sure everything's in line, you know, making sure that the patient's values are within normal range. If they need to be weaned, or if most of the ABGs are done there. Well, they're done on every floor, but like just checking up on their status, on their parameters, sorry. You would check it through the ABG. And most of the patients are, you know, either trying to be weaned or comfort measures, stuff like that. So it's mostly the floor where a lot of patients are withdrawn, kind of where that families have to make the decision of, do I want my family member in a vegetative state? Is it time to withdraw them? You know, like stuff like that. And it's hard for a lot of patients, family members, because they don't understand it from a medical point of view. And I get that. They don't want to lose their family member. But when you kind of look at it from a medical standpoint of view, and you see that the patient's suffering from brain bleed, they're not going to be able to recover, they're going to end up in a vegetative state, like, you don't want to prolong the suffering of that patient, you know. And it's sad, it sucks, but they're suffering more like that, if that makes sense. And it's sad, but it's a decision that needs to be made, you know, kind of like realistically, you know. I can explain a situation where there's a patient, unfortunately, who she suffered from a stroke, and she has a brain bleed, and she's already in a vegetative state. Like, she's, unfortunately, I don't think there's no coming back from that. And she doesn't have a gag reflex, she's not responsive, like, and the doctor was kind of like clear and transparent with the family members, and like letting them know, like, you know, like, there's no coming back from this. And the daughters are kind of like, they're young, you know, they have faith, which is very important to have during those times, you know, to have faith, and they think that there is a coming back, like there's coming back from that. And they're like, you know, stick with me. Like, it was kind of sad to hear, because they really think that she's gonna be able to come back from it. And the husband's a little more realistic, and like, he understands, like, you know, like, she wouldn't want to be in that position. Like she said it before, if anything, she wouldn't want to be in a vegetative state. And there's kind of like a conflict there with family members. So it's like stories like that you're gonna hear a lot of, and it's really sad, because like at that point they're like, oh, how is that patient doing? And you're just kind of like, yeah, like the values are normal, like everything's good, but like, you know, that patient's, you know, unfortunately there's no coming back from that. And it's kind of like, you know, there's just no coming back from it. And it's sad, but it's realistic, you know. And it's stuff like that it's just like very sad, you know, when you have to come to the decision of withdrawing a patient, the family members are crying, and you're just kind of like, it's really uncomfortable. Like, it's a really uncomfortable situation, because like, you're the one who's withdrawing them, and they're just crying outside, and like, it's like they need somebody to console them, and it's like, like you're just like, fuck, like I'm the one who's like withdrawing them, but like obviously it's not your fault. Or at my hospital specifically, like you have the physician who's in there, you have the nurses who are in charge of that patient, and sometimes we have like a code blue team, like a rapid response team who comes during emergency situations. And so it's like the physician, the nurses, you have RTs, us, and when it comes time to intubate the patient, or like you're in the process of CPR, you're doing the normal CPR that you're taught at school, like the whole protocol. You have a nurse or an RT performing the CPR, you're switching spots. You usually have the physician at the head of the bed, kind of like watching everything and looking at the EKG to see like if the patient's getting a pulse or not. You have a nurse who's like in charge of the medications, like when was the last dose of the epi, etc. Atropine, whatever the patient needs at the time. And then you have like the RTs on the side, like preparing the ventilator, preparing intubation if that's where it's gonna go. So you usually are never alone when it comes to a code blue. Like with your RTs, like the whole department usually comes. There's been situations where like we've been really short staffed lately, like critical staffing, where one of my coworkers did have to intubate by himself, and usually you have your charge come with you to help you. But that night we were like in critical staffing, and I remember we had to do an ABG on this patient who was really hard. She was a really hard stick, but she really needed that ABG, and we had to get a Doppler to freaking find her arteries, and it was just a whole mess up there. But she was having an anxiety attack because she didn't want to get stuck again, and we were just like, it's really important, ma'am, like you need this ABG. And that's kind of where it was headed. Like she was in distress, and he was about to intubate downstairs, and the other person was busy. So it was just like, we've been in that kind of situation where we've been in critical staffing, and it's very like, it burns us out because it's like a whole, they have like a hiring freeze going on everywhere, and it sucks because like we really need extra staffing. So that's kind of like how a code blue would go. I mean, now RTs at our hospital are kind of learning to intubate, because usually the physician does that, but they want RTs to be able to do that as well. Not by themselves, but usually have a physician there. But like RTs are gonna have more of initiative to intubate, so they're doing like a whole training where they're going out of state. I think like 3 RTs are chosen to do this, and they're flying out of state to do this intensive training to intubate, and then they're coming back. So when it comes time to like a rapid or something, they're able to intubate by themselves without the help of a physician. So that's kind of how that's going. The first time you do a code blue, like it's really scary, because anything as a new grad is gonna be scary. Like, let's just be real. But as time goes on, you start getting more comfortable, and it starts becoming like, okay, like what are we doing? What's gonna happen? You kind of lean more on your physician to be like, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we intubating? Are we waiting for, what are we waiting for? You know, kind of stuff. About the airway, kind of. You're not worried about anything else, just the airway. You do CPR, bagging, all that stuff. And you're waiting for, what is the physician saying? Like, what are we doing? Pretty much. And it's nerve-wracking. Like, I think I've been in 2 code blues so far that have really like impacted me, that have stayed with me forever. And I think as a new grad, you're just always gonna have that one specific code blue or rapid that really stuck with you. And for me, it was this guy. Oh my god, I'll never forget, because when I was bagging this patient, I was at the head of the bed, and this guy would get a pulse, he would lose it, get the pulse, lose it. And I was so hopeful for this guy. Like, I really wanted this guy. Like, obviously I want all my patients to survive, but this man, I had hope because I kept seeing his eyes open. Like, I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna come back. And then it was like, he lost it again. And it was kind of like that limbo for a while. And I really thought he was gonna make it, because like he would start like lifting his hand up, but I think he had something where that it would make him do that, and I really thought it was him like trying to like stop us, or you know, like I just really had high hopes for him. And I forgot what it was that he had. He has some type of tremors, and I don't remember what it was, but like it would make him respond like that. And then he had a pacemaker, so I don't know if it was, he would look at me dead in the face, and I was just, it kind of stuck with me, because like he would look at me, and it was like, are you looking at me, or are you there? Like I was like, come on, like, you know. And I just kept bagging. I remember I kept bagging. And then it got to a point where, unfortunately, like, blood was starting to come out of his tube. And it was like, we would have to suction in the middle of doing CPR, and like, kept doing CPR, kept bagging him. But then it got to the point where he was like bringing up so much blood that you couldn't bag anymore, because the resistance was just too much. So you would have to suction, and then by the time you're like taking off the bag, like the blood would just spew everywhere. And it was a little traumatizing, because it was like, fuck, like it got to a point where like we had to call it, and it was so sad, because it was like you feel so defeated, but it's like you just feel so defeated, because it was like from one day to the next. It was a COVID patient who just deteriorated so fast, and then like we prayed over him, and then that's it. Like that was it. We had to wait for, at that point, you know, there's nothing else you can do, so you just wait for the body to be removed of the room, start cleaning the stuff. But it's just like, it's so sad. And those are things that like you have to be strong for, because it takes a toll on your mental health, and like it's just really sad, you know. It's really sad. So those are my experiences so far. And then yeah, I remember another situation where it's kind of like the same thing, where the lady was getting the pulse, losing the pulse, getting the pulse, losing the pulse. And it was like, it's like a limbo. It's really like a limbo. You kind of, some make it, some don't. And it's just, it's a sad reality of just being in healthcare, you know? Especially like dealing with rapids and code blues. Like, it's just not something that's fun. It's not, like, you don't want to hear that, you know? I remember when I first started as a student, I was very eager to be in a code blue. And it kind of like as a student, when you first graduate, like you're kind of like eager to go to these code blues. You're like, oh my god, a code blue, like, yeah. No, like you come to the point where you're like, what was I so like eager for? Like, that's not something you want to hear. That's not something you want to. Like, I remember like like when I first graduated, I was like, oh, a code blue. And then the RT she was like, that's not something to be like. And I'm like, oh my god, no, that's not how I meant it. Like, it was like I was just eager to be like able to save a life. But when you realize that like not every life is gonna be, you can't save every life, it's like that's not exciting, that's not fun. Like, just hearing that, like, it gives you like, you start palpitate, like you start getting palpitations, like Core Blue, oh my god, like, you know, like we're running and like we have to run and we get there and it's like you're nervous because you're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen to this, like, but you gotta keep your cool. You gotta stay cool, calm, and collected. It's not something glamorous. It's really not. And yeah, you guys, that's kind of like my little gist of it. I think I've been doing this for like 30 minutes already talking. Oh my god. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. I do all types of videos. I mostly talk about respiratory, but I'm also gonna be streaming, you guys. Streaming some Fortnite to get my mind distracted. And you know, sometimes you need those little things to help you get your mind distracted. So I stream Fortnite now, so go ahead and follow my Twitch account. And